Good morning. Welcome to Heart to Heart. It's a beautiful, cool spring morning here in Lexington, Kentucky, and I hope it is wherever you are as well. My name is Sharon Ash. I've been tuning in to Heart since January 2020,
Hmm.
and this is my first time giving the opening talk, so please bear with my nervousness. Filling in for Joe, our extremely gifted leader and teacher, and all the very well spoken members who've given talks in the past, is humbling and a bit intimidating for my fragile ego. My hope is that something said will speak to your heart. Let's begin with Joe's simple prayer for all, yeah, simple, for all fellow sufferers. May what needs to be heard be heard. What may what needs to be spoken. May what needs to be grieved. May what needs to be forgiven. May what needs to be healed. Moment by moment, yes, we say yes to grace. The title of my talk today is Into the Magic Shop of Meditation and Visualization. It's based on the book Into the Magic Shop, a neurosurgeon's quest to discover the mysteries of the brain and the secrets of the heart by Dr. James Doty, published February 2nd, 2016. Joe, could you show that image, please? If you want the full story, I highly recommend reading this book or possibly listening to an interview of Dr. Doty by Krista Trippett at onbeing.org from November 2018. The seed for my talk was planted last year when I happened to see that a person who'd introduced me to one of my favorite spiritual practices had died on July 16th, 2025. This person was Dr. Doty. My intention today is to express gratitude and pay tribute to him and to a woman named Ruth, who first taught young Jim Doty about the magic of meditation and visualization practices. I'll start by sharing a little bit about Jim Doty's life and then get into the practices. Joe, you can take that down. Thanks. James Robert Doty was born December 1st, 1955, in the western Mojave Desert town of Lancaster, California. He was the youngest of three children and grew up in poverty with an alcoholic and abusive father and chronically depressed mother. Doty's early life was marked by fear and instability. However, at age 12, he met a woman named Ruth who changed his life. During summer break that year, while out riding his bike, he wandered into a magic shop. He'd been interested in and practicing magic tricks and was looking for a plastic thumb. Ruth, who was visiting from Ohio and helping at the shop owned by her son, happened to be behind the counter while her son was out on an errand. After looking all over the shop unsuccessfully for the thumb, Ruth struck up a conversation with the boy and eventually offered to teach him some real magic. Although with considerable confusion and trepidation, Jim took her up on the offer. And over the next 6 weeks, Ruth taught him to reframe his reality through relaxing the body, taming the mind, opening the heart, and visualizing his goals. Jim practiced the techniques faithfully and found that they served him extremely well in dealing with the circumstances of his life at home, throughout his schooling, in his military service, in his medical training, and in his career as a neurosurgeon. In his book, In the Magic Shop, Doty describes how intention setting, visualization, determination, and hard work brought him great success as a neurosurgeon and enormous wealth as a biotechnology entrepreneur. However, not great happiness. By the year 2000, when he was about age 45, Jim's personal monetary worth had reached over $75 million. At this point, he was ready to leave his highly successful tech business, Accuray was the name of it, for another venture. To offset an expected tax bill, you can imagine, he sought legal help to place the Accuray stock into an irrevocable trust, and he pledged the proceeds of its eventual sale to charitable causes. However, a very turbulent time followed. He and his first wife divorced. Then the dot-com bubble burst, plunging him $3 million into debt. But it was also a turning point. Losing his money and the period that followed brought Doty back to Ruth's teachings and showed him that he had never truly practiced opening his heart. He had only been setting goals and visualizing to achieve monetary and career success rather than actually following the moral compass of his heart. In his old notebook of Ruth's teachings, he saw written in the margins, "What you think you want isn't always what is best for you. Your heart is a compass, and it is your greatest gift. If you're ever lost, you just open it up, and it will always steer you in the right direction." Ruth had warned him. She had told him to open his heart before visualizing and to use the power wisely, but he hadn't done that. He thought he wanted money, but the truth was there was never enough money to make him feel like he had enough. It was as if the magic show he had begun so many years ago had now stopped, and he was still just as alone, scared, and lost as he was the first day he met Ruth. As he revisited all of Ruth's notes, he began listening to his heart in earnest. Soon after, Doty received a call from his attorney that we might consider a test. This cracks me up. The attorney had discovered that the charitable trust documents were never actually filed, and he wanted to know how to proceed. Legally, Doty could have simply kept the money for himself. Remember, he was totally broke. Or he could go ahead and sign the documents to give it away as planned and promised. He didn't know how much the stock was actually worth at that time, but he knew it would make him a millionaire again. Jim asked his attorney for time to consider his decision. Over that night, he meditated with an open heart, and when he called the attorney back the next morning, he told the attorney he still wanted to donate as planned. 7 years later, when the Accuray stock went public, it was worth $1.3 billion, and the trust was worth $30 million. Beneficiaries included Stanford Medicine, Tulane University, programs for AIDS, family health, and global health. In the meantime, Doty had come to the realization that the true purpose of his life had nothing to do with money, and that no amount of money would ever make him truly happy. Instead, he discovered that his heart's desire and life's purpose was to learn and teach about compassion. I had the privilege of hearing Dr. Doty speak about compassion and the heart-brain connection during a session at Festival of Faith in Louisville in 2012 or 2013. It was around the time the Dalai Lama came to Louisville. The Dalai Lama was so impressed with Doty's compassion work that he donated an unprecedented amount of $150,000 to help launch CCARE. This is a mouthful. The Center for Compassion and Altruism Research and Education. Let's just call it CCARE. Which he was creating this to study the neuroscience of compassion and to train people, including those in the medical field, in compassion. Some ideas researched and taught about through CCARE were neuroplasticity, rewiring the brain from limited to unlimited possibilities, and the importance of intention setting. Also, understanding the heart as the center of intelligence, as monks and poets had written about for centuries, and EEGs were verifying. Doty said that as a species, we evolved to care for our offspring. So there had to be powerful neural pathways that bonded parents to children. And these neural pathways were those of compassion. He said transformation results from practicing attention and focus. Transformation results from practicing attention and focus. But to have transcendence, which is a sense of meaning in your life, you must take the journey outward. This is a journey of connection to others. When you connect with others with an open heart and embrace the other as yourself, your physiology works at its best. Every day, we have the capacity to make a difference in the life of at least one person. The smallest thing, a smile, a small act of kindness. These little ripples can become a tsunami. It becomes contagious. It's not the circumstances that is creating a problem. It's our response of fear that leads to fight, flight, or freeze. Doty said we are at the beginning of an age of compassion. Knowledge being gained through neuroscience and the effects of small acts of caring for others will ultimately be the path that will lead us out of darkness and into light. After Doty's death last year, July 16, 25, the director of program development at CCARE said of him, he was driven by the belief that we could all be better, that we could be kinder, that we could be more compassionate. He was determined to pay forward that compassion intervention that was magic for him as a boy. One of the main things I remember about Doty's Festival of Faith talk was his alphabet of the heart. Ruth had taught him to make a list of things he wanted, and in grad school, he had become used to using acronyms to help memorize things. So after he became devoted to teaching compassion, he made an alphabetical list of 10 letters to live by, starting with C and ending with L. The words on his list, as you can see there, were compassion, dignity, equanimity, forgiveness, gratitude, humility, integrity, justice, kindness, and love. Hearing this list got me thinking that I'd like to develop my own list with words from A to Z. The list I developed became my own alphabet of the heart. I use it as a tool to distract my obsessive mind when I can't sleep at night, to stop worrying about things not in my control, and to focus on how I want to show up in the world. Over the years, it has become a daily mantra that I recite daily, silently, before getting out of bed in the morning, not only saying the words in my head, but feeling their meaning reverberating in my heart. Hearing these words with the ear of my heart brings a sense of peace and joyful intention to start my day. I'm not going to recite my list because it's grown to over 100 words, and I'd rather you focus on Doty's original list, or better yet, make up your own list. So why did Doty's book and Letters to Live By make such an impression on me? Perhaps because it came at a difficult and transitional time in my life when I was seeking something to fill a void. I had retired a year or so before hearing Doty's talk and had left the Catholic Church about 6 years prior. I was taking classes at Earth and Spirit Center, had practiced meditation since the year 2000, but still something was missing. Looking back, I now see that like Doty, when his life fell apart, I had not yet really practiced opening my heart. And somehow developing this mantra helped my heart open and find new ways to serve the world. A quote from Doty's book may explain better than anything I can say. Here's the quote. The brain has its mysteries, but the heart holds secrets that I was determined to uncover. My quest that began in the magic shop had taken me on a journey inward, but my journey wasn't over. I knew I had to travel outward. The mind wants to divide and keep us separate. It will teach us to compare ourselves, to differentiate ourselves, to get what's ours because there is only so much to go around. The heart, however, wants to connect us and wants to share. It wants to show us that there are no differences and that ultimately we are all the same. The heart has an intelligence of its own. And if we learn from it, we will know that we will know that we keep what we have only by giving it away. We keep what we have only by giving it away. If we want to be happy, we make others happy. If we want love, we have to give love. If we want joy, we have to make others joyful. If we want forgiveness, we have to forgive. If we want peace, we have to create it in the world around us. If we want our own wounds to be healed, we have to heal others. End of quote. Each of us in our own lives experiences situations that cause pain. Ruth called them wounds of the heart. As she told Jim, if you ignore them, they won't heal. Because sometimes when our hearts are wounded, that's when they are open. Frequently, it is the wounds of the heart that give us the greatest opportunity to grow. Difficult situations can be a magic gift. Since the time I heard Dr. Doty speak and read his book a few years later, there have been many changes, endings, and new beginnings in my life, including finding this beloved heart to heart community. Thanks to Joe and all of you, there are ongoing opportunities to discover the magic in the challenges of life and to send compassion outward to our troubled world. In a few minutes, I'd like to lead you through Ruth's magic tricks as a doorway into our time of silent meditation. But before we begin, let's take a few minutes of silent reflection and possibly write a few words to answer these questions. What difficult situation in my life right now might be a magic gift? What difficult situation in my life right now might be a magic gift? And secondly, how might I respond to this challenging situation with compassion? How might I respond to this challenging situation with compassion? Let's take a few minutes to reflect on that before the guided meditation. While we're finishing up with that, Joe, I'm going to ask that you put the screensaver back up. If you can.
Just a sec.
Now, I'd like to lead you through a guided meditation using Ruth's tricks. So get in a comfortable meditation position and begin relaxing the body, placing intentional breath on the parts of your body, starting with your feet. Perhaps they're on the floor. Feel the bottom of your feet anchoring you to the earth. Or if you're seated on the floor, perhaps you'll feel the tops of your feet on the floor. However you're sitting, ground your attention in the earth below and move your attention, breathing into your body, up through your lower legs, your knees, your thighs, up to your sit bones. Feel your sit bones solidly anchored on Mother Earth. Let your attention swirl through your lower trunk, around through your intestinal system and all of the organs in the lower body, up through the center body, up through the chest cavity, swirling, swirling, swirling around, over your shoulders and down through your upper arms, your biceps, through your elbows, into your forearms, around your wrists, your hands, your fingers, and bringing that attention and that swirling energy up, back up through the lower part of the arms, the upper arms, and then back into the shoulders and down into your chest, swirling around, breathing through your lungs, swirling around your heart. Feel your heart beating, pulsating with the rhythm of your breath, and up into your throat, swirling around your throat, your lower jaw, the base of your spine, where your head is sitting comfortably on top of your spinal cord, letting that energy swirl around through your cheekbones, through the sockets of your eyes, and feeling your eyeballs resting in the gel in those sockets, and up around the top of your head, the crown chakra, and swirling, swirling, swirling back down through your spinal cord and into your heart. And let your attention rest in your heart while breathing and taming the mind. Ruth's magic trick number 2, taming the mind. As you sit, noticing how thoughts keep swirling through that brain of yours, keep returning to the breath. Perhaps you'll want to use the repetition of a word to tame those thoughts, or perhaps a phrase, or perhaps a sound, the sound of ah, or the sound of one of those words that is your sacred word. And letting the brain be tamed, opening the heart. Magic trick number 3. As we open our hearts, think of each of the following Send unconditional love and sit with the warmth and contentment that unconditional love brings. Bring to your heart a person who has given you unconditional love, or a time, a situation. Feel in your heart a time when you knew beyond a reasonable doubt that you were unconditionally loved. Most everyone has at least a few seconds of that feeling. Bring that to mind now, to the mind of your heart. See that person or that situation, that pet, or that circumstance where you knew it. And now bring your attention to someone you care for, someone who is easy to give unconditional love. If not a person, perhaps a pet, a beloved pet, or a place in nature, a place where you can just send unconditional love and gratitude. And now bring to mind, the mind of your heart, a person you know and have neutral feelings for. Could be the garbage collector, could be the person at the counter at the grocery store, could be someone walking by your window, taking a walk in your neighborhood. Just imagine this person and send unconditional love, warmth, and contentment to those people. And now, bring to mind someone with whom you have had a difficult relationship or have negative feelings. See that person as yourself, a flawed, imperfect being who struggles and makes mistakes. See everyone you meet as flawed and imperfect, just like yourself. Bathe them with love, warmth, and acceptance. Their response does not matter. What matters is that you have an open heart. An open heart connects with others, and that changes everything. And now, Ruth's fourth step, clarifying, visualization of a goal, something you wish to accomplish, or a challenge you wish to handle with grace and compassion. The important thing is that it does not involve harm or bad intent. Focus on your breath. Think of that goal or wish. Let it settle in your heart. And see yourself as having accomplished it. Feel the positive emotions associated with accomplishing your goal. Add details, how you look, where you are, how people respond to you. What is important is the goal, not exactly how you get there. It is with clarity of intent that your vision becomes a reality. And now we will stop the recording and go into our own time of silent meditation.